When we left off in part 1 of our chat, Katie was talking about cash converters and a doll trapped in a toolbox. What the fuck? Anyways, onwards to part 2.
So, if you can imagine a doll trapped in a toolbox.
Okay.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like your musical interests are more, there's a lot of, they're high energy or higher energy and quite different from your classical roots.
Oh, yeah. But that's not to say that the classical songs are not in rotation as well, because they most definitely are. I know Priya knows this about me, but I do have a studio ritual, and it's been in place since, I want to say, probably over 20 years. 10 years. How old am I? 10 years.
She's 15.
Oh my gosh. It's just so talented, 15.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. This is going to sound bizarre, but I was researching Gregorian chants. Mm-hmm. So I'm researching Gregorian chants, and in this rabbit hole that I end up in, I find a British composer called Ralph Vaughan Williams, who has also been researching Gregorian chants, but who had reworked one of them into this 15-minute long, just like punch you in the stomach, beautiful. It's called Fantasia on a Theme by Thomas Tallis. Thomas Tallis being the person who had originally designed the melody. I think it had words as well, but there are no words. It's a symphony piece, 15 minutes long, and that is what I listen to every time I enter the studio. That's the first thing. And again, it's not me like sitting there listening and hanging on every note. It just brings me right back to that spot. It's like an instant meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It brings me into the zone.
I was going to say it like sets you up. It like puts you into
it's like a warm up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Like if you're working out, it's like your warm up to get you ready to go.
Or a calibration.
Yeah.
Like it's like I'm whatever I was doing or thinking about before I got into the studio. Mm-hmm. This is where we
flip the switch.
Yeah, flip the switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely lose time. I lose time when I'm listening to music. And that's
how long is that song? 14 minutes, you said?
Yeah, I can tell you. We can ask iTunes. It's right here. I remember one time I got so excited to call into the classical music station and
CHFI? I don't know what it's called.
That's definitely not
The
classical.
CHFI, I don't know.
Definitely not.
No.
What is a classical station? I have it,
Classic
96.3.
I should know
There's
that.
probably more than one, though.
Yeah.
The one I listen to is 96.3. Is that?
The recording I have is 15 minutes and 45 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is my preferred recording because I have a couple. But this one is the, let's see, it says Sir Andrew Davis and BBC Symphony Orchestra. And the reason I like this one is because right before the first swell, you can hear the conductor like grunt.
Oh.
So he's feeling it too.
Yeah.
And it just gives me goosebumps even just like talking about it.
That's so cool.
I recommend it highly if you have 15 and a half minutes.
Yeah. Well, that's just an extra like five and a half
Taylor's
minutes
longest
from
song,
your Yeah, there you go.
Oh, like mine. I'm sorry. So you're not a fan, right?
Yeah, no, I am. But
okay.
But you were talking about how you use it when you're doing your Devantra or whatever it's called.
I listen to my what? Devantra?
I don't know what you called it when you do your like meditating your Shavasana.
Oh, yes.
So whenever I do
The look you gave me.
I'm like,
Devantra.
What's a Devantra? Is that a name or somebody?
I don't
Anyways.
know.
Yes, well, I will listen to that so that I know that it's like 10 minutes long and I can have a nice, settling in after I do a yoga practice, which I don't do often, but when I do, that's how I end it, is with All Too Well by Taylor. It's a really calming.
So it's a similar kind of approach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Use a nice long...
That takes me back out and then into my life, whereas you're using it to sort of take you out of life and into your art.
Precisely.
Right? Yeah.
It's
very cool.
so spot on. Yeah.
So are there lyrics that have spoken to you?
Yeah. In fact, my archaic website is a little bit of a hint. If people know me, then they know that a lot of the titles of my pieces are musical references, either names of bands, and in that case, it usually means I'm listening to only that band while making a piece or a series. There are song lyrics, there are song titles. They're in there. In there. Yeah.
So how do you make that decision around titling your work? Is it something that just happens as it evolves, or if you've been listening to the music for quite some time, when you get to the point of paint to canvas, do you know that this is the Angry Mockingbird piece or whatever their names are? Mm-hmm. You do, okay.
Yeah, I mean, well, when it comes to, in the case of, let's say, one of the old works that I still so deeply love, another no longer extant Toronto band called Rocket's Red Glare. If there's any nerds out there, you know how good this band was, and it's such a crying shame that they didn't make it huge, but definitely did a series of work. And so in the case of that situation, I would name the series after the band. But in other cases where I am just listening to various songs or what have you, I have random shards of paper that if something catches me, I'll write it down. And so if I'm ever at a loss of where to start or what have you, I will go through those notes and they will trigger something, and then I'll know, like, I'll listen to that music. Portishead, I've definitely got some Portishead lyrics as song titles. Veruca Salt, there's a Veruca Salt song that I have definitely named work off of. I mean, that's pretty indicative of what my listening library looks like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, do you know any of the lyrics offhand? Like, do you have any that you can mention to us that have really kind of inspired some pieces?
Sure. So the Veruca Salt song off their first album is called Wolf. But the lyric and the title of the piece that I made, 2 pieces, are This Is a Time for Falling. Oh. And so I recommend this song highly, but it's 90s rock band, so This Is a Time for Falling. And there's a Portishead song, my favorite Portishead song off their first album, Dummy. The song's called Biscuit. And the lyrics are, a mother's son has left me sheer. Oh. And so, I mean, how does that not conjure visual?
Yeah.
So, so those are some examples. I mean, I can, you can come back, but not the same wouldn't be a most recent one by an American band called Facts.
You can come back, but not the same. That's a good one.
So do you, so for people that might be familiar with, in your show descriptions or your piece descriptions, do you reference the music that has inspired the piece or the collection? No?
It's like the inside. It's like the inside, in the know, secret.
Right.
I'll say it doesn't often come up. I'm really bad at volunteering information. Mm-hmm. If people ask me, I'll tell you anything, but I'm very bad at volunteering information. And I guess maybe just over the years, I realized that people just really are not that interested. Mm. And then there are the people that are super interested. Yeah. We love those people. But, oftentimes people are, but let's just look at the art. Yeah. And that's okay too. Mm-hmm. That's okay too. Because it is about the visual. These aren't people. There have been a few times where I had one amazing collector who was so supportive, and every time I would come across a new rock band or whatever, I would say, you got to listen to this, and he and his son would drive around in their car and listen to, and he would tell me what they thought. Well, we thought this one was a little aggressive, or or whoa, how did you listen to this? We listened to it, but how do you listen to this over and over and over again? And he commissioned a piece at one point. And it was a song lyric title, and the lyric is On the Horizon, and the band is an American band called Liturgy, which is like literally screaming.
Oh my God.
Black metal, like just.
So did he pick the song?
No.
Oh no. So he commissioned a piece. How does that work then with your process?
Yeah, so this was a very, very special client, and he had been so supportive over the years and has probably more pieces of mine than I have.
Like how many pieces?
Oh, man. Well, he has the biggest piece I've ever made, which was an inside-out freestanding painting in the round, which is big, like huge walls like this that you can get inside.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
And, I don't know, 10, 12 maybe pieces. Wow. And so he had a special event in his life that he wanted to mark, and he decided that he wanted to do that by way of me making something for him. And so I intentionally sought out a song that was aligned with this sort of fresh start feeling that he was going
Oh,
through.
cool. Okay.
And so I ended up making a large scale diptych, and
Can you explain what that is?
Oh, sure. A diptych is indicative of a piece that consists of two separate panels, but that are not independent of each other. So a triptych would be 3,
Right.
and then after that you just call it a polyptych.
Oh, I haven't. That's the first time I've heard that
I didn't
one.
know that.
Yeah,
I
I
knew
knew
triptych.
diptych and triptych.
I
but
didn't know diptych, but I, again, so many things coming. I know dick pics, but not diptychs.
Yes, a diptych
Is very different. I
yeah.
imagine it's very different.
Yeah, it's
I don't
very
like
different.
looking at dick pics, but I imagine I would love looking at your diptychs.
Not even a diptych dick pic?
Okay.
No, probably not.
You never know. You never know.
Well, then I wonder what would be on the triptych.
Oh,
the
jeez.
diptych
Yeah.
has to go into something.
Oh my god.
Okay, sorry, we
Okay.
digress.
We were on a really intellectually stimulating
know.
conversation, and then
And then Priya happened.
So this collector, he has I find that's such a fascinating way that you have a relationship with somebody you've entrusted your work with, right? Because, Priya and I have a little bit of experience working with artists. We worked for an arts organization, and that organization worked with artists in 5 artistic disciplines, visual arts being one of them, and musicians being another of the 5. And and I don't know about you, Priya, but it was a really eye-opening experience working with artists and witnessing what inspires them to create and what their processes were to, go from inspiration and idea to the actual creation. And some of the pieces were just phenomenal, like the visual arts especially. There's an annual visual arts show, and they sell the pieces. And I have quite a lot of, I've about a dozen pieces that I've collected from different artists there. But my relationship I don't really have a relationship with the artists outside of the context of having worked there and having some understanding of some of the experiences that led to their creating their work. Whereas you're talking about this seems a much more personal connection.
Yeah, and it really was, but that is not common. I don't think that that's a common experience. It just so happened that this particular individual was also a music aficionado, collector of guitars, just also very curious and disarming. And so he was pretty approachable, and I suppose found me approachable as well, and we just hit it off. And so we started to talk about the things, like I said, that if people ask me, I will tell them. So he asked. And so we ended up sharing stories and sharing music, obviously, as I said, with each other. And he could really appreciate where I was drawing the visuals from. So he really loved the connection between the music and the visual. And so I guess that's one of the reasons why my work spoke to him. And it really thrilled me having someone who got it.
Yeah, I would think that would be very rewarding. It's one piece, some artists they create because they need to get this out of them, this idea and that creative outlet, and some are more commercial in their work in their practice. But I would think it would be so rewarding for you to have a collector be interested, actually get the piece, but then also be interested in more about where it came from and what all of those things.
Because you seem to use art as a method of communication, right?
Yeah.
So because you started off by saying that you want people to feel what you felt listening to that music. You want to try and translate the music to the medium, right? Which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I think if I were to look at your piece, and I wonder when I go to see this exhibit at the Room, do you have the titles beside the pieces or nothing? Is it just the pieces on their own?
They are just the pieces on their own, but they were so sweet. They made this really lovely PDF document with images and titles and things like that. But what would be fun? I can give you the names and I can tell you what I was listening to.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, that would be great.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
The extra fun, so much fun. That would be there are works as early as 2010 in there. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So it spans like 15 years of your career almost.
Yeah. So, truth be told, I am friends with the person who invited me to put the work in the room.
Nice.
He is also a collector.
Okay.
And has been a supporter since day one.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And so he's very familiar with my practice, has watched it evolve over the years. And when he approached me and said, "Hey, can you put this many pieces?" And I thought, I can, but you're going to get pieces from my collection, my archive. So what ended up being there are brand new works that have never been exhibited that just, they were still basically skinned over, like almost wet, so new. And then my favorite pieces that I still had.
Wow.
So what was the split of pieces? Like how many new ones did you make and how long did that take you?
Well, so I mentioned I lost my studio
Yeah.
in COVID, which was just devastating. And then I entered this like little tiny apartment, and I was incapable of making things. Like, first off, it was COVID. It was hard. Everything was weird. The moving experience was traumatic. Trying to find a place during COVID, just use your imagination. And it was just not a fun thing. So I ended up in a lovely apartment. It was beautiful, but very tiny. And the fact that it was beautiful made me afraid of damaging things.
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't as though I could like be free with my movements. So when I lived there, I only made one diptych. It's in the show.
Okay.
And then now that I have settled into a new home, a new studio within my home, I've been ramping up my practice. So there are only 4 new pieces. I only made
the pieces that are there.
There are only 4 new pieces, and 2 of them are 2024. 2 of them are 2024, and 2 of them would be like 2023-2024.
Right. And so how long is the show on for? So for our listeners that are in the Toronto area, they could check it out.
Yes, I believe the end of February, the 25th, if I remember correctly.
Okay, great.
And we're talking about doing some kind of artist talk, so hopefully that'll be
amazing.
That would be great.
Please let us know about that.
Yeah.
Will that be something that will happen in the space?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to go to that.
That would be very cool.
Yeah.
And we can share that on our socials if you want.
Our social. You keep saying socials.
I
We
know.
have one. We have
I know.
the social.
It just
the
sounds
one
better when you
social.
say socials.
I have one
but,
final question before
Yeah.
I know we're going to wrap it up. But because I was just looking again at the pieces, does the music dictate the colors you're going to use in the piece? Or do you decide, I'm looking to do something that's a little more, I don't know, I'm in the peachy phase? Or like, how does that work? What comes first? I don't know.
Yeah, just listening to
Listen to
really,
my art process. I'm feeling peachy.
No, I was just thinking that the music's, when you've talked about some of the music that you listen
Certainly
to,
not
and it's
peachy.
like, it doesn't sound like peach would be a color that would go with,
You would be surprised.
Portishead.
You would be
Okay,
surprised.
okay.
In fact, I had in my early career, there was a heck of a lot of pink going on.
Oh, okay.
And I am not a pink.
Yeah, yeah.
It is not me as a person, but there's something magical that happens when you put pink with like really hard black. Like there's a contrast. I love
Yeah.
contrast, but those are the things, I don't want to say tools because that's so lame, but those are the things I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about how to translate a feeling. And so I have an arts education. I'm very interested in color theory, psychological color theory. A lot of my master's degree delved into areas like that as well. It's super interesting to me. And so I have learned a lot about how to apply that knowledge. And so I am able to draw from a pretty vast pool of things that affect those decisions. And so it's hard to tell precisely what order that it happens in, but I'm almost always making associations in my head. So like when I'm listening to something, I already, without consciously thinking about it, I'm already thinking colors. And I'm already thinking not necessarily shapes like triangle, square, but more just like organic versus geometric, or heavy versus light, just really basic things like that. And so it almost just chooses itself. The colors, the color palette almost chooses itself. But my art supplies are finite. I don't I generally just use what I have, which is probably terrible because there's probably more amazing things out there that I just need to go to the art supply store and play with. But I definitely, black is a key, and I would say that is across all media that I use, whether that be drawing media or painting media. I love black gesso. That stuff is so sensuous. And then my favorite drawing material is technically paint. So there's a thing. Have you heard of an oil bar or an oil stick?
Yeah, yeah.
That's my favorite. So it's like painting with lipstick,
Yeah.
drawing with
Oh.
lipstick.
Yeah.
You can use a brush if you want to. I don't, but it's so awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's the color's so intense. It takes forever to dry.
Yeah.
But they're beautiful, and you can get a little bit of impasto with them. Like you can get a surface. It's not just flat.
Right, right.
So it looks more like painting because you get the surface quality.
Dimension and yeah.
Yeah.
So you work mostly in oil, or do you dabble in acrylic or watercolors or any of that, or?
Yeah, so I do, it's mixed media. I generally will start with the broader marks first, and so those happen with brushes. I hate paintbrushes, but they're a necessary evil. I know, I don't know why, but I just do not like them. I don't like holding them. I don't like looking at them. I have dollar store paintbrushes. I'm not even kidding,
Yeah.
because I'm so bad at washing them, so I just stopped trying. So I have to, so I'll start with gesso. So that's a painting application.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know what gesso is, that's how you make the canvas not porous. So it is a nice, clean, pristine, flat, uniform surface. And from there, I will either jump into drawing immediately, but being cognizant of the fact that if I want to put water over that it's going to have to dry. I can't use graphite, for instance, because that'll just smear all over the place. So these are things that you pick up along the way, and it's been a long time. But so yeah, there's acrylic in there in the mix, watercolor for sure in the mix, both. But
Like in one piece?
Yeah.
You would have? Okay, cool. Very cool.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like there's a huge difference between a swath of watercolor and a hard line.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah, there is a difference. I know so little about art and working with the different types of paint, but I thought like if you're using one type of paint, that you only use one type of paint on that a canvas, or or whatever the piece is that you're painting it on, whatever material I guess you're painting it on.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you would mix them up, and I think that's really cool.
You get
Guess
different
so.
Lines and textures. And
yeah, well, yeah, and you probably have more flexibility in terms of expressing your idea when you use different mediums. Because watercolor is such a different type of material than oil.
Yeah, and then that's it becomes a difficulty when people ask me questions like, do you call yourself a painter, or what do you call yourself? Because the drawer is not a thing. You don't call yourself a drawer, but if that were a thing, that's what I
can't
would
even
call
say it.
myself. Like, I'm not a draftsman, because that conjures something technical, and that's
Yeah.
certainly not what I'm doing. And then this thing that I make, yes, I'm using paint. It's on a canvas, so it is a painting. I call them paintings. So it's a conundrum.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You're an artist.
Oh my gosh.
You're an artiste.
artiste.
Oh
You're
no.
an artiste. So you're kind of cringing here about with being called an artist. Do you not consider yourself an artist?
Yeah, no, I definitely do.
Yeah.
I think it's just going through my mind are all those stereotypes.
Right.
And I'm probably fitting in a lot of them.
Well,
So,
Yeah.
Which ones do you think you fit into?
the like, living off of practically nothing,
But that was back
eating
in the
tofu.
day.
Oh no, I'm still super humble. I will put my money into the things that matter, like the arts. Like, oh, okay, I'm going to spend this $25 on this Celadon green because I just really need it.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily need to buy fat protein
Right.
or whatever. So those are things. I mean, the cat food gets bought.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody's being
Priority.
neglected.
The cat is taken care of.
They
See,
eat
you're
well.
like
They're
your
doing
mom.
okay.
You are a parent, and yeah.
But there's another stereotype for you. Cats and artists, it's totally a
Is
thing.
that a stereotype?
Oh yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, cats
Okay.
specifically.
Specifically, well, Taylor also is a cat woman, cat lady.
I don't know anything
So-
about her. I admit
No,
it.
she
I'm so
doesn't.
sorry.
We have to school Katie on.
We
on
actually
Taylor.
don't.
We need to direct her towards some of her better, like some of her more. I mean, all her lyrics are amazing, but I think you might relate differently if you read her
Oh,
lyrics.
I have an idea. Why don't you commission
A piece based
a
on it.
piece
But I don't
based
think
on?
it works like that. I don't think people give her a song to listen to.
Well, she might be open to it. I
Maybe.
don't know,
I'm
Katie.
not-
What do you
I am
think?
Too
not
well.
closed.
She listens to that over and over again. I think an amazing piece of work would come out of that.
Oh yeah. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, she was nominated for an Oscar for directing the short film to that.
An
10-minute
Oscar?
video. Yeah,
Oh,
she was
boy.
not nominated for an Oscar.
Really?
Did you not know that?
No.
I'm surprised.
Okay.
Anyway.
This is not about Taylor
It's not about
Swift.
Taylor. It always goes to Taylor
Yeah.
somehow. But what are you listening to and or working on right now?
Oh, yeah. So I'm listening to a playlist that I called, spoiler alert, the title of this new series is called Dreams I Can Remember. And so it is I would say,
I love that.
and it's like,
love
and they're
that.
actually dreams that I can remember.
Oh, cool.
I actually had a thing where there's a thing, I know the name of it now, it's called somnophobia. And that's where you're, sorry, this is so embarrassing. It's where you're afraid to go to sleep because you think you're going to die. Like you're not going to wake up.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about that.
So I definitely have had that. I had it for a year and a half.
Oh my God.
Oh, my God.
How terrifying.
Yeah, it's a special kind of torture.
Yeah.
So that is what I am presently trying to, I guess, I don't want to say work through because that's so lame, but that's what I'm thinking about.
No, that's true. Yeah.
I'm going back to that. And so if you can use your imagination, there's a lot of black going on.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of really bright jewel tones.
Oh, okay.
So right now I have mixed, actually the paint pigment is called emerald green.
Oh,
So emerald green.
yeah. I can picture that now.
Yeah. And the things I'm listening to are, I would say, a lot of a band out of Detroit. Band is one person's project out of Detroit, Michigan called Summer Like the Season. And I cannot say enough good things about this project
name of
because Summer Like the Season.
That's the name of the band?
And it's a one-person project, and they have people that perform with them. So I stumbled upon them by accident. I was going to see the headliner and was there early enough to see the opener, and I had no idea what to expect. All I knew is that they were from Detroit, and who doesn't love Detroit? So I knew it was going to be cool.
Yeah.
And so up comes this woman and these two other people, and she is sitting behind a huge drum kit with huge headphones on, and all of a sudden she starts singing in this most beautiful voice while playing the drums, and this other person is on like a cordless weird electric looking violin thing while doing all sorts of things with buttons I don't even know. It was just it was
that's so cool.
yeah, it was mind-blowing performance, and I probably did it backwards because if I had listened to her record, or their record, pardon me, and then saw the performance, I mean, my mind would have been equally blown. But just learning how they found a way to dissect what they'd done in the studio, because it's very much like a studio record. It's such a listening adventure. Anyway, I'll stop. But Summer Like the Season is big in there, and there is a bit of the usual suspects. So definitely have some of that Fever Ray that I mentioned, but a couple of Montreal bands that are super awesome right now.
Yeah.
One of them's called Big Brave, and more goosebumps. Cannot, like, honestly, so ridiculously powerful. And then a band called, another Montreal band called You Do Right, which is spelled Yoodoo, right? And I happened to be at a music festival trying to take a nap. Good luck taking a nap at it.
Not maybe
This
the
just
best
seems like
place.
I was
Yeah.
like, seems like an,
Counterproductive.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm
Or
in the tent.
counterintuitive.
I'm in the tent with the cat, taking a nap, and
the cat.
You took your cat?
The cat. The
That's
cat
amazing.
goes nice.
Yep. And yeah, got a lot of attention for that. That wasn't the reason that the cat came, but so trying to take a nap, and I hear this band sound checking, and I like sat straight up and thought, oh my gosh, what was that?
Cool.
And just incredible. 3-piece. Both of those are 3 pieces from Montreal, and just I've seen them play. Okay, well, let me put it this way. When I got the message from Spotify at the year-end wrap-up, I was in the 0.05 percentage
Wow.
of this and Summer Like the Season, and I kind of blushed, but
Yeah.
it was like, well, I can't argue with that because I'm listening to them all the
Right.
time.
Yeah, and you know, the artists, like I've heard that artists, they do pay attention to these roundups, and they do like to look at like who's listening. So who knows, they might be reaching out to you.
Oh gosh.
Well, funny you should mention that, because my goddaughter, who came here for the Taylor Swift concert and she was one of our guests, she got a notice, like a videotape notice from Taylor.
What?
That she was in the top I hear you're one of my biggest fans, Maya. Thanks for listening and stuff. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
So
I know.
check your Spotify.
That's gotta be
yeah.
AI. You think they take the time to do that?
I don't know.
I don't know, but
But isn't Taylor Swift notorious for being like angelic in that way?
she is with her fans. Yeah, she's very, very. But still, like, how could she have the time? That
got
woman.
stuff.
There must be 7 of her. I
Yeah.
think so. Anyways.
Well, that is very cool. I love that. I love that your current works are influenced by so many different experiences that you've been kind of like building on over the last little while. And I love that. I love finding new bands out of happenstance. It's like it's so unplanned. Someone will be like, like you're doing right now, talking about a band, and I can see Priya
writing
scribbling
it down.
furiously. She's writing the names of these bands down. And some of the music that I love has happened that way, just from like happenstance. It's great.
You won't notice Mike writing it down because he always says he's going to listen to the stuff that I text him about, and he never does. That's
No,
fine. We're
I
over it.
will. I will.
We'll see. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Katie. This has been so different for us.
Yeah, very
Right?
different. Yeah, usually we're just bantering on about bullshit, so it's not.
Oh, I can banter on about bullshit all day. Invite me to the next one. I'll be here.
Absolutely. It'll be great to, I can't wait to go see the show
Yeah.
and then sit down and chat with you over coffee or whatever and talk about the pieces and how you came to those pieces and what you were listening to. I think that would be such a cool thing to
that
do.
would be very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Down for that.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for being on Life is in the Lyrics with
Yeah.
Priya and I.
And for everybody who is in Toronto, if you want to go and see that show, remember that it's at the Hudson's Bay on Queen Street in the room, which is on the 3rd floor. And just ask to see Katie Bond Pretti's art exhibit.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Amazing.
What a fun thing. I've never done this before, so very
Right.
cool for me.
Glad
You're
you
amazing.
enjoyed it. Thanks. All right, listeners, thank you for being here today. And if you have anything you'd like to share about this episode, Priya?
Yeah, you
How
can reach
can
out
they do
to
that?
us. You can email us at lifeisinthelyrics@gmail.com. You can, what can they do into our
Slide,
into those DMs on Instagram at the Little Podcast. That's the LIITL podcast.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.